Thank you, Blazine. I appreciate you sharing. Um, at this point, I had forgotten to mention this at the start, so I apologize, but we will go into a Q&A session. So if anyone has any questions, we can go ahead with those. If not, if you need a few minutes to think some over, I do have some questions that I can leave with. So if anyone has a burning question, I will give you a space to ask that.
I'm looking at some of these comments now, and it's funny.
So I will go in to some questions that I had, Blazine, if that's all right with you.
Yes.
So going off of the list I have, you gave kind of a personal definition of networking, so I will jump to the second one. So networking at times can have a negative stigma associated with it, as being, kind of disingenuous. Do you have any tips for making the process feel more genuine and personable?
I just think people see through sincerity, and when you're after something, and when I never look at networking as the place to sell, I look at the place to gather information. That's, when somebody wants something from you, and you can't hide that. And nothing but sincerity and honesty is going to do that. It's so important to cultivate relationships first. If you feel funny asking that person something, or if you're like in development and you feel funny, you're not sure, like asking for involvement, it's the wrong time to ask. There should be no hesitation by the time you get to a point of asking somebody. It should be the natural result of a process. It should never feel uncomfortable. That's pretty much just, it's not selling. It shouldn't be selling. So that's what I would say. I think sometimes people look at networking as events as, hey, here's my card. You're going to, I can give you this. Or the only time that's appropriate is when a person says it out loud, I'm looking for, and you can offer that. That's the only time I find that appropriate.
All right. I will move to another question then. Let's see. I think on the topic of COVID-19, just thinking about what your networking process has been during this unusual time, with there being sort of a lack of in-person sociable events. How have you been networking and expanding your connection base?
So I've made a lot of switch to personal phone calls to just check well-being and families. And it is a little switch, but it's, hey, how you doing? And how it's just checking in how people have been affected. Some are so drastically affected. It's almost how can you not ask how people are being affected? So, I sent out letters. I've tried to stay away from electronics because it's unavoidable. All our meetings are on Zoom. People are, it's all electronic. So whenever I can send a note or do something in that manner, it's great. And the other hand, what it has done is open up so many different opportunities, not the time saved with travel, to find out about organizations or join in on webinars or, different locations. And it really adds some value to our own time as far as what you can accomplish from home. But I would say anything, you can't forget about networking. You can't stop the process and just drop off. It's a very easy thing to do during COVID, is to just eliminate that need, but it's more important now than ever. This is going to pass. It's going to be different, and your relationships are going to be what has carried that through. So just keep in contact. Trying to think if there's anything else. No, I really think, I think the thing that has changed is it's okay to ask about personal situations in some cases, about how people are getting through and managing. And it just opens up a world of conversations. And some, you'll get feedback from them right away about what their position is. Like if they don't want to hear about it anymore, or if they really want to discuss this, and if it's something that maybe you can help with.
I did see we had a question come in from DeMarcus. So I'll read that one out loud. The question was, how are you organizing / managing your network? For example, are you keeping a spreadsheet, or what other methods are you using?
So I don't know, I mentioned before that each platform has its own, capabilities. So I keep mine in Excel because I end up having to go through them and pull, I have categories and filters, and for each contact or organization I'm working with, I find myself having to go through it. I can't use one system, just doesn't fit all, and that's crazy because I'm back at Excel, but it works the best for me. It just works the best for me. I tried, like I said, LinkedIn, and you can't export, you can't import this certain one there. And I've tried HubSpot, and I can't access the notes fast enough, or, how I met that person. So, Excel can be a bit cumbersome because of how far you have to go out to get, but it's workable. You hide and unhide what you want and don't want, and it seems to, at least I can have everything in one place, and also filter it and export easy. And if I ever find that ideal program, it'll be ready to import into it.
I have another question that I think is good to note. So what advice would you give professionals who have recently moved into a new area where they may not have as many connections?
Yes, so that's a good point to think of when you're established. Ideally, you want to have contacts where you're going, but that doesn't always happen. Who knows where they're going to end up, right? So you want to, a couple ideas are to make a couple weekends, if you can get there for a couple weekends, and strategically plan meetings with or attending business networking events. There's also a couple things I heard about. I think it's called Bumblebiz, and Shaper or something like that, that notifies of networking events in other areas. The other part is just reaching out, like going on to LinkedIn. People are usually pretty sympathetic that have moved to other cities. So it's probably one of those situations where you can reach out to anybody and say, hey, I'm moving, who can you connect? It's probably just, it really is an open door, because people are usually pretty friendly when you're moving to that area. Trying to think, I'm just a firm believer in whatever doesn't exist, you create. I mean, create your own opportunities. So if I'm heading to another city and I know I'm moving there, just create a meetup group. It's like just plan. There's the only limits we have in every area are what we cannot imagine. I mean, it's literally, that is the potential everybody holds. Most of it is our restrictions. put on ourselves for saying it, we can't do that. Or, you know, or listening to somebody in your ear saying you can't do that. You can do and start anything to solve whatever problem you're trying to do. So especially moving, that's, they just say reach out. And also, you know, as you're developing your network, keep those contacts with chapters in other cities, you know, make note of those, and that's another easy way to reach out.
Thank you for sharing. Did anyone have any further questions for Blazine at this time? You're welcome to either turn on your mic or share in the chat.
Is everybody, can I just ask for the people that are here, are you job seeking, or are you just, what are your positions? Since it's a small enough group, I think, to gather a little bit of information. Is that okay?
Hey, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Brittany.
First, I'm currently not. Yes, I can.
Jason, you're lagging a bit on my end.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I'm not currently job searching, but always keeping in mind, what interesting about the future, and I know with all the uncertainty that's going on right now with COVID and everything going on in the world, just keeping, networking in the back of my mind, what contacts do I have, who do I know, in the event that, something does happen and I do need to search for a job in the near future. It's always, good to keep those connections handy and make sure we're always expanding our network. Currently, I'm hopefully staying right where I'm at.
Thanks for sharing, Jason. And I believe Brittany had wanted to share something as well.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that I work in athletics on the academic side. That's not where I originally started. I just kind of ended up there, and it's not where I want to be. So currently job searching, applying for the positions that I, line up with my dream job. But yeah, I'm in Oxford, Mississippi right now, but I'm originally from Pennsylvania, so I'd like to be a little closer to home. But yeah, nonprofit fields I would love to work in, volunteer my time in. So yeah, just always networking and trying to get my name out there.
I'll share DeMarcus, he, him pronouns. Living in Akron, Ohio. I lived in Mississippi, Brittany. I love Jackson. I went to Belhaven, so good times in Mississippi. I am not currently job searching, but I'm actually, thankfully, with COVID, my work has turned remote, even though I work in like arts sector. And so the opportunity to live where I want to is coming up. And so I'm interested in trying to decide where I'm going to live and still network within like the art sector in that respective area. Oh, I'm sorry. And I work with National Center for Choreography here in Akron, and also with Alternate Roots, which is based in Atlanta.
Do you know do you have a specific location in mind that you want to be, or are you pretty open?
Yeah, I was thinking Memphis, just cost of living and just like the culture is really interesting to me. Also DC, but the cost of living is higher, which is not as interesting to me right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Did anyone else joining want to share?
Hello, I'm Kenesha Taylor, and I currently teach at a high school. So I teach marketing and business classes. But my background, I also have my MBA and have worked a lot in banking and consulting. And I'm just at a place in my life where I'm really starting to rethink what I want to do next. And so I still have a job, but I know that I think I'm ready for a different experience. As much as I've enjoyed teaching at this stage of my life, I'm ready to get back into using my business skills. But of course, I do like doing work that has greater purpose and meaning. So I'm just kind of doing some soul searching, and I was just happy to find this group because I found it very helpful to hear all these key tips. And I've kind of just let go of my network. I have some, of course, from business school and things like that, but I just have not nurtured those relationships. So these have just been really great tips on how I can kind of get myself back to where I need to be in terms of managing relationships, etc.
I think we all do that, just fail to make it the priority. And I just never saw the power of it until I got to watch, starting from scratch, what that really holds and how much it means at times like this. Never too late to start it up.
Thank you.
I can go next. I'm Caitlin. I'm in North Carolina. I have been a freelance digital marketer for the last few years, but COVID has taught me that I am an extrovert, like truly an extrovert, and I thrive on interacting with other humans, and that kind of needs to be a significant part of my job. I've been working remotely for years, and I miss interacting with humans just in person on a regular basis. And I was able to work on a project recently where I got to talk with strangers, and it was the best thing ever. So before COVID happened, I was like on this path of like doing more marketing stuff, but then COVID has taught me that I need to interact with people, and I'm realizing that that's kind of a unique skill set that like I can connect with most people pretty quickly. And so I want to use that, and I have a background in education. So yeah, I was always meant to be an extrovert. So this was something I'm kind of leaning into, and I'm kind of at the beginnings of figuring out what comes next, but I'm trying to be super intentional with how I go about doing all this.
Right. I think a lot of people discovered we need each other. You know, we need that human interaction, especially with people who are gifted in that area. In a tough time.
So my name is Kat. So I am job seeking. I recently ended my job at a nonprofit, and right now I'm like mostly doing soul searching and seeing where and how I fit in.
You know, that it seems like a lot of people are in between, and you know, identifying that next step is sometimes difficult, but that's where these networking things, it's just put yourself out there and volunteer and try and talk to these informational interviews can give you so much direction. You can just set your foot in there, and especially remotely now, you can really get a lot of insight to different areas and kind of see what makes you excited again, you know? So that's not always an easy position when you're searching, but you take the action and you will be amazed when you take one step or another step in directions, how things begin to unfold before you. Lack of activity is the only thing that will, you know, keep you in that same spot. So just put yourself out there, and I don't know. Things just have a way. Once you take that one step, it's amazing what happens after that.